MSA Flynn with the author Sesh Corner, and I am with my co-host Wren Nightingale. And today we are doing educational episode. We are going to go over self-publishing versus traditional, and then author lifestyles. And I can't read the rest of that.
So
won't let me.
And how to stay motivated.
That.
Yes. All right. So to self-publish or traditionally publish, we're going to cut out all the opinions and all hype to be as realistic and straightforward as we can about the ins and outs and the pros and cons of both ways to publish. First, how each version of publishing works. So before we start comparing the two routes to market, we want to break down the basics of how these two very different processes work. So first we're going to look at traditional publishing. You write, revise, and polish the book, and then you pitch literary agents. Your agent then pitches your book to editors at publishing houses. When a publishing house buys the rights to your book, they pay you an advance on earnings, more commonly just called an advance. They then set a publication date, usually 1 to 2 years in the future, and work with you to edit, copy edit, and proofread the text. They design the cover and interior formatting, take care of the marketing, advertising, publicity, and printing costs, and work with a distributor to start selling it in bookstores. You would then start earning royalties on every book sold, but only after you've earned back the advance they paid you.
How self-publishing works. With self-publishing, you write the book, retain the rights, and take responsibility for everything that happens afterwards. You may do everything yourself, or you may hire an editor, a proofreader, cover designer, marketing company, and or publicist to take advantage of their expertise and to do a lot of the work for you. If you want a print copy of the book, you'll also use a company for that. Could mean print on demand or a print run of certain number of copies. Most authors go through Amazon KDP print, which is a POD service. A side-by-side comparison of traditional publishing and self-publishing. Traditional publishing, extremely high. There's no useful way to calculate the odds of getting a traditional publishing deal. A Google search will give you sound arguments that the odds are as low as 1 in a million or as high as 23%. Both are meaningless. The 1 in a million stat includes all writers who aspire to traditionally publish a book, which obviously includes a huge number of people who will not put in one iota of the effort required. And the 23% comes from a survey of proficient writers and may skew in the opposite direction. Regardless, landing a book deal is a difficult thing to do. Self-publishing. Low. Anyone with enough discipline to finish a book can self-publish. Of course, finishing a book is no easy feat.
Very true. All right, so now we have control. For traditional publishing, the fact is that you have little to none. Once you've sold the book to a publisher and they own the rights, they're in control. This doesn't mean that they're going to edit it into something entirely different. You'd have some recourse against that, but it does mean that they will choose the cover and the interior design along with the budget and methods for marketing and advertising. They'll almost certainly ask for your input on all of the above, and your agent can fight for your opinions to be honored, but ultimately there's no guarantees you'll be happy. For self-publishing, you almost but not quite have total control. Because you retain the rights and you're paying for everything, you get to make all of the pre-publication decisions. You choose the cover and the interior design, make all editing choices, and decide where to publish and sell it. Pricing is where you won't have complete control, at least if you're publishing through Amazon. Though you'll have more leeway over pricing than the traditional publishing house, and you will have to follow Amazon's rules. If you want their higher 70% royalty rate, you must sell your book for no less than $2.99 and no more than $9.99. If you're okay with the 35% royalty rate, you must sell it for no less than 99 cents and no more than $200.
Wow, $200.
That's an expensive book.
Yeah.
Also, if you're selling the book on your site or elsewhere, you can't sell it for a lower price than the price listed on Amazon. That is... What? I had never seen that word before.
I think it's a typo.
It can get really tricky if you use a service like Ingram to distribute your book to places like Walmart and Barnes & Noble. Those resellers can lower the price without your knowledge while still giving you the proper cut, but Amazon won't like that. They'll come after you, even though you have as much control over a $500 billion company like Walmart as you do the United Nations.
Time for publication. I'm changing the word. It didn't sound right. Traditional publishing. Typically, from book deal to bookstores is about 2 years. Self-publishing, in theory, you could write the end today and have it in readers' hands tomorrow, which is true. Kind of.
I think they have... You need approval. Yeah.
A writer I know recently said she wanted her book to come out within 2 months to coincide with a national event. If she's determined to meet that deadline, she has no choice but to self-publish. I don't know who they're talking about. Just FYI. Not someone I know. Distribution. Traditional publishing. More or less, anywhere books are sold, you just don't expect to be in airport bookstores until you're a bestseller. But your book will be sold brick and mortar bookstores throughout the country. If you have a big buy publisher, it will most likely be displayed on the front tables of Barnes & Nobles for at least a few weeks. Self-publishing, mainly online. Whether it's an ebook or a print-on-demand paperback, the vast majority of your sales will be done online. Not completely true.
No, because you can do events and stuff.
Yeah, you gotta put in your own work. You gotta do your events. Mm-hmm. Although every now and again, a really famous personality with a built-in audience gets a self-published book into physical bookstores. I can all but guarantee it's not going to happen to you. Not true, because I'm in a bookstore, a library, and 2 other places.
Yes, but it really does depend on, like you said before, like connections, people you meet along the way, and all that stuff. So if you're not putting in the effort to make connections or talk to people, then you're not going to get out there, basically.
Pretty much. You might sell it on consignment at the store by your house, but you're not going to have nationwide distribution at independent bookstores and large real-life stores like Barnes & Nobles and Target. Some people will tell you that your book is distributed by Ingram. It can appear in bookstores. It can. Bookstores physically could order your book, but even traditional publishers have sales teams to get bookstores to make orders. Unless a self-published book has its currently selling insane numbers of copies like 50 Shades of Grey once did, they're simply not going to order it. Besides Amazon, you can sell it yourself in person and on your website, and you can also sell it online through other marketplaces like Gumroad, Apple Books, Google Play, and online versions of Barnes & Nobles and some other bookstores.
Gracie, stop. Go away. Go away. Cost. For traditional publishing, it's usually $0. Oh gosh, stop. However, as we mentioned above, it's very common to hire an editor before pitching agents, and according to the Editorial Freelancers Association, a middle-of-the-road cost is $50 an hour for 1 to 5 pages per hour. Some authors also decide to hire an outside publicist to supplement their publisher's efforts. According to Writer's Digest, a 4-month campaign would cost about $5,000 to $10,000. Self-publishing. Next to nothing to the sky's the limit. If you're going to skip editing and proofing, design your own cover, and put it out there with no marketing, you can self-publish for free, though your book probably won't be readable. If you went all out on editing, formatting, cover design, and marketing, you could spend tens of thousands of dollars. A publicist alone would still charge $5 to $10,000, according to Reedsy, which is a marketplace for freelance designers and editors, while most authors spend $2,000 to $4,000 to self-publish. Earnings. For traditional publishing, according to agent and blogger Rochelle Gardner, a typical first-time advance might be anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000 per book. Because the publisher has taken on all the cost and risk, royalties are then usually 8 to 15%. According to the Authors Guild, when it comes to book-only earnings, the average traditionally published author makes $3,360 per year in royalties. When it comes to the top 10% of earners, the median goes up to $305,000 per year. For self-publishing, no one's going to give you in advance, but because you've taken on all the costs and risk, your royalties will be much higher, ranging from 35 to 70%, depending on the price you're charging for your book. According to the Authors Guild, the average self-published author makes $1,950 per year. Excuse me. And the average romance or romantic suspense author earns $10,050. Romance sells. At the top end, the highest 10% of earners reached a median of $154,000 a year. In another survey by The Guardians, the average self-published author earns $1,000 a year. Nearly a third made less than $500, and 90% sold less than 100 copies. Why the disparity in these surveys? Perhaps because the 2015 survey is so dated, or perhaps it's because only the more successful writers are joining the Authors Guild.
Conclusion. Did the money section kill your buzz? Clearly, no matter which way you publish, how much you earn can be a crapshoot. Authors make millions with self-published books. Authors can make millions with traditional books. People also win the Powerball jackpot. The odds are about the same. The best and only way to maximize your chance of financial success is to write and publish the highest quality book you can. The other good news is that authors can earn a living in a number of related ways, including speaking, podcasting, blogging, teaching, just to name a few. Wow, I can't talk. If it's all about high earnings for you, there are far more predictable ways to get there. Investment, banking, anesthesiology, and pharmaceutical sales jump to mind. Write books because you have a story to tell or something to teach people. If you do that well, no matter how you publish or how much money you make, the rewards will be priceless. And that ends the indie versus traditional.
And now for our next topic.
Do you have any input, though, before we move on?
I would say that definitely if you're going to go the self-publishing route, you also have to kind of know how to handle your money. Like, for example, if you're going to be doing events, don't go paying $200 to $500 for a table if you haven't sold anything before, if it's like your first event, because probability of selling enough to make your table fee back is really low. But if you've done events before and you're starting to get more out there, then that is a higher probability of making more profit. Traditional publishers, I think, still can offer you to go to events, but you're really like contracted through them of like having to advertise under them at the same time, from what I've noticed. So it's just kind of like, are you okay with being told what to do, or are you okay with being like, I'm going to try to get myself out there?
And like you're saying, you don't just sign up for any and every event. You want to sign up for events that has something to do with the theme of your book. Like, take for instance, I got offered 6 different events. There was 2 that I declined because, 1, my book has nothing to do with 80s. So I know I definitely wouldn't make nothing at that. And then there was another one that just didn't really make sense for me to set up because I'm a fantasy author. Also pay attention to the table fees, because if it's an event that's not going to have a lot of people and the table is $150 to $200, that is not worth it. So I personally prefer the indie route over traditional because I like being in charge of my own stuff. I like being able, marketing and stuff is hard, but it is worth it in the end as long as you put forth the effort. If you're not going to put forth the effort, then it's going to seem like a hassle. But
and another thing I learned,
want it.
And another thing I learned with traditional publishing too, before I decided to become an indie author, is yes, you can find an agent, but you can write or apply for an agent. Well, let me rephrase. You can apply to over 50 plus agents and still get denied. And so it's really, you just have to have, if you want to go the traditional publishing route and that's where you want to be, you have to have a good backbone to be told no. So like, that's where a lot of people end up turning to indie author, being an indie author, because they don't like being told no or being denied the not the privilege, but the opportunity to become traditional. So you just kind of have to go through all that too, and also researching agents too. I had a whole list of people I was going to email, and I was like, nah, I'm not going to do this.
Yeah, and then you have a book that you can't even access anymore, right? From traditional publishing? Like you lost your right to
Well, the
it?
publisher themselves closed down. Like, they're not a publisher anymore, but Amazon won't take it down because they won't believe that they closed, even though I gave them proof that it closed. And also, my contract is expired, but they're like, well, I don't know what to tell you. So I ended up rebranding, rebranding one of the books, and the other one, I'm on the fence of even rewriting, but eh.
But I think it's important to know, since you did go through a publisher, and how that can affect you, like them suddenly closing down and stuff too.
Yeah. And so there's always that. If you do a traditional publishing route, make sure you research the publisher that you're going to go through, because the one I went through was not a good publisher. So make sure you do that research.
Yep. All right. Moving on to lifestyles. How I stay motivated as a writer and how you can too. If you're a writer or want to be one, here are 5 ways to stay motivated that can help keep you writing. Write to encourage just one person. Even today, if you see someone struggling in your Facebook community, try to imagine writing just them. This simple mindset shifts makes the work feel more personal and meaningful. Try this. Think of someone in your life who needs hope and encouragement, write as if you are writing to them. Number 2, focus on one small goal at a time. Writing an entire book can feel overwhelming. When I first started, I had moments where I stared at the blank screen and thought, where do I even begin? I've learned that instead of focusing on the entire book, I just need to focus on one small goal at a time. Before bed, I decide on one writing task I will complete the next day, whether it's outlining a chapter, researching for 20 minutes, or hitting my word count goal. Small steps lead to big progress. Try this. Set one writing goal for tomorrow, just one. It could be as simple as journaling for 10 minutes or writing a single paragraph.
Number 3, remember why you started. It's easy to get caught up in the busyness of writing. Marketing, deadlines, and editing can steal the joy if we're not careful. When I start feeling uninspired, I remind myself of what first made me love writing. Try this. Take a moment to reflect on why you wanted to write in the first place. What excites you about writing? Number 4, write with a friend. If you don't have a co-writer, find a writing friend who can encourage you, brainstorm with you, and keep you moving forward. Try this. Reach out to a friend who shares your passion for writing. Ask if they'd like to be your accountability partner or brainstorm ideas together. And number 5, picture the finish line. When I feel stuck, I imagine the finished book, holding it in my hands, seeing it on a bookstore shelf, or picturing a reader flipping through its pages. I think about the people I will reach through my words. Try this. Close your eyes and imagine your book finished. What does it look like? Who is reading it? Let that vision fuel your motivation.
Writing habits and routines, filling the creative well, and more tips on writing and productivity. You can't make a living from your writing if you're not actually writing. And while writing may seem easy to some, and it has its fun moments, it's actually really hard work. Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Here are tips on getting the words out. Sort out your routine and writing habits. Every writer is different, but every professional writer also has some kind of routine to get the words onto the page. You can call this discipline if you like, but it's better to think that it is as a habit. Habits are things you do without having to debate whether to do them or not, like brushing your teeth, which you likely do at the same time every day and miss if you don't do. Sometimes it's easier to write when you have a day job. Your time is restricted, so you have to make the most of the time you have, and you're driven to achieve that period. The financial side is also taken care of, so you have less pressure. But of course, you're likely reading this because you want to switch. You'll need to play around with what works for you, but here's what we found that could help you build your own routine. If you're a morning person, then it may help to write in the morning and then do the marketing, running business activities after a set time. I'm like the only black sheep right early in the morning. Everyone else is late at night. Work out when your most creative time is and use it for first draft material. If you need to write new words away from your home desk, then try to write in the libraries or cafes. Slap on some headphones, listen to whatever music gets you inspired, turn up the volume and start to write. Diarize your time and make slots for your writing as you would for any other appointment. If you think you don't have enough time, then look at what to eliminate to make time. You'll find a way if you really want to write. It's all about where you choose to spend your energy. You get what you focus on.
Get the right tools for the job. If you can't escape the addictive pull of the internet during writing sessions, then maybe getting something basic to write on and disabling the internet on that is a good idea. The other tool some authors recommend is Scrivener software. Is it Scrivener or Scribe? Whatever. You can use it
I have never heard of it, so I don't know.
I've seen it once or twice. You can use it to plot and roughly outline, as well as write, organize, and manage your books. You can also use the
Pause you. Sorry, I was trying to catch you. Obsidian is another place that you can do that with.
Yes.
The plot and outline and stuff.
Yes.
Because that's what I've been recommended by 3 people now.
There's that too. You can use it to plot and roughly outline, as well as write, organize, and manage your books. You can also use the compile option to create your ebook files for Kindle and EPUB formats. It's incredibly powerful software, and if you want to maximize your usage, it's recommended the Learn Scrivener Fast training course. Understand first draft writing versus editing and redrafting. Words do not stream from a writer's fingertips perfectly in order, each word exactly as it will be in the final draft. Writers will usually create a first draft, a splurge of words and ideas that definitely will not be seen by others. They will then spend time rewriting, editing, and polishing until the manuscript is ready for public consumption. Yes, there are some exceptions, but understanding this can help free up enough to write books. Remember, you can't edit a blank page, so just get black on white, or white on black if you prefer dark mode, and work through edits later.
Fill the creative well and then trust emergence. If you want to write for a living, you need to have a consistent flow of ideas that can be used in whatever you're writing next. Even if it seems impossible, keep writing and soon your creativity will start to flow. The problem will be turning those ideas into words and finished projects. Projects. So how do you start the flow of ideas? For most people, it's all about research. This can be online or through books, but others also like to go visit places, immerse themselves in new experiences, and give synchronicity a chance. I don't know if I said that right or not, but we often find things in museums that end up in books, or you can be at an event and get an idea, or watch TV or a film and something springs to mind. Comes down to shower ideas.
Yes.
Just write whatever comes down to mind. You don't have to do anything with it now. Just log it and trust that you will come back to it another time. Or not, it doesn't matter. But just getting used to the process of noticing ideas and writing them down will prime the pump. What a phrase to
prime the pump.
Trust those impulses and write them down. You can use a notebook or any app, but definitely have some way to note them. Find your voice, writing lots. Here's a question for you to consider. If someone writes 10 books, which book would be the best? Number 1 or number 10? Hopefully, the answer is obvious because practice and experience results in better everything. But so many writers get obsessed over their first book, spending years writing, editing, polishing it without moving on to the next. We all have self-doubt. We all suffer from fear of failure, fear of judgment. That never stops, even for the most experienced writers from what we've learned. Or from what we've heard. And with my experience, with me getting ready to publish book 2 of my quartet series, I can definitely say book 2 is so much better than book 1 because I have learned a lot from the process of book 1. I mean, book 1 will always be my heart because it's my first book, but I definitely can say I enjoy book 2 more because it just was so much smoother to write and I got to apply what I learned.
Yep, that's right. How writers can deal with self-doubt and imposter syndrome. My writing is terrible. What's the point in even trying? I'm just not good enough. Even if I get a publishing deal, everyone will find out I'm a fraud. I can't really write. You might recognize these thoughts because they happen to pretty much every writer. We will tackle the issues of self-doubt and imposter syndrome felt by even the best-selling authors at the top of the field. During a thriller fest in New York, there were some authors who attended that spoke up about imposter syndrome. After a great panel discussion packed with anecdotes, one member of the audience put her hand up. I'm a new writer, she said. I'm halfway through my manuscript and I feel like it's terrible. I'm doubting my story. My writing sucks. I think I should just throw it all away because it's so bad. These mega successful authors all nodded and smiled at her with recognition on their faces. Then, one by one, they spoke of their own self-doubt. Even after making the bestseller lists so many times, said Sandra Brown, I feel like I'm a fraud and that this time everyone will find out. David Morrell talked about reading his words from yesterday, the words he thought were amazing at the time, only to find they were terrible, and how that happens most days. They went along the panel, and every single one of those authors, some of whom have been writing for over 40 years, said they all suffered from various aspects of self-doubt. Bad writers tend to have self-confidence, while the good ones tend to have self-doubt. A quote from Charles Bukowski. This can be comforting because a lot of authors will feel waves of self-doubt on a regular basis. It comes through if, let's say, you second-guess your first draft writing and let your internal editor start work before you finish the draft. It gets particularly bad when you're about to publish a novel or when you're asked to speak or give an interview about your story.
Imposter syndrome and self-doubt. To take it even further, imposter syndrome is an extension of self-doubt. It's the feeling that despite the number of books written and the levels of achievement reached, we are frauds just pretending to be writers. Amazingly, this seems to be more common amongst the most successful authors. Imposter syndrome is rife in the author community, hidden by a veil of keeping up appearances. So if you meet an author who seems a little distant or standoffish, chances are that they feel like someone is about to discover that they are just a bag of jangled nerves. They are waiting to be found out and cast back into the darkness. It seems that wherever we are on the writer's journey, self-doubt will come along for the ride. Antidote. Embrace self-doubt as a part of the creative process. Be encouraged by the fact that virtually all other creatives, including your writing heroes, feel it too with every book they write. In fact, if you don't feel any kind of doubt, there's probably something wrong. And if you've reached the heights of imposter syndrome, you're probably doing pretty well in your writing career. When you feel that creeping self-doubt, acknowledge it. Write down your feelings in your journal and then continue with your writing. If you're suffering badly, by all means, talk to your writing community about how you feel. But I think there is a shelf life for this kind of confession from writers. Other authors and readers may be sympathetic if you share occasionally, but a writer who constantly talks about their self-doubt may erode the reader's confidence over time. So take a deep breath and get back to the blank page. Do you need someone to make you a paper badge with the word writer on it before you can believe you are one? Said by Stephen King on writing.
And that is it for that one. Is there anything that we wanted to add when it comes to that?
I will say, being an indie author and a fan fiction writer, I have had a lot of people DM me asking how I handle self-doubt or how I get myself unstuck. So self-doubt is definitely something that's big and plagues almost every writer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I always self-doubt. I always think my stuff's gonna be bad, but then I have people who read it or like my fan fiction when I post it, and then people commenting about how much, how they feel when they read it. It's reassuring. And back to the other one of the topics were having a writing buddy. I am one of those people. I love talking to people and bouncing ideas off without, and I try to stick to certain people and only one person, especially if it gives away a plot line. So that way I'm not giving away my story entirely to a bunch of people.
Yeah.
But and there's some people that I feel like will fit the scenario better than another person. But I'm definitely one of those people who will bounce ideas, want to have someone to co-write with or to write with.
Mm-hmm.
And some people don't. Some people really are like very anal over their writing. They don't like sharing. They don't like letting people know because they don't want their ideas stolen, which is, fair. Fair.
Right.
No one wants their ideas stolen.
No.
So it's really a double-edged sword. It's either you got to take that risk. But like me, I love if I'm stuck on something or I don't know how I need this plot line to go, I say something to someone, they'll say something back, and then I just, the gears start turning and I'm able to start piecing together my own path. Even if the other person doesn't necessarily help with the plot line, it gives me something to bounce off of somebody to make myself actually think.
And sometimes it just helps to have that person for you to just be able to like vocalize or write your idea down. And sometimes you don't even need their input. Like I do it to you all the time, essay, where I'm like, okay, I have this idea, and then I'm like, no way, I actually know what I'm doing now. So like sometimes you don't even really need that input. It's just knowing that you have that person who's going to be there, even if they don't say anything. You're like, wait, no, actually, I got this.
Yep.
So, is that everything then?
I think so. I don't have nothing else to add.
All right. Well, thank you everybody so much for watching or listening to the Author Sesh Corner today. We post on Spotify and on YouTube. We also are still trying to look for 100 followers on the Author Sesh Corner podcast on TikTok, so that way we can do author interviews. We have 2 interviews coming up this month with Noelle, correct? Noelle.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have those set for this month. So you're always welcome to join us. And please leave a like, follow, share, comment. Anything helps out. Otherwise, I guess we will see you guys next time.
See ya.
Bye-bye.